Take me out to California.
Hi everyone and welcome to this channel. If you are new to this channel, then please do subscribe if you like this video. Give me a thumbs up. Press the bell so that you get notifications when I make a video. On this channel, I talk about family life, about being a single mom, about grief. I talk about positive mindset and how to feel good more than you feel rubbish. And that is it. In this video today, it's a bit of a story time type video. And it's a story that I haven't shared for a long, do you know what, even just thinking about the story, I just got like a anger in my pit of my stomach. So when I was growing up, I was an actress for many years. I started at 11, I've talked about this floor, yada yada yada. I was an actress. So when I was, let's say, how old would I have been then? Let's say I was early 20, maybe 20, 21, something like that. And I'd moved to London, the bright lights of the big city. And I'd been signed to Sony as a singer under the name Summer Matthews. You can YouTube her. I was signed to Sony. I'd done MTV, Top of the Pops. You know, I'd been fairly successful at a young age and I'd done some really cool stuff. And after singing and being dropped by my record label, I'll share that story with you another time, I then decided that I would go to drama school and I would do all of the actor stuff. But because I'd been working in the industry for a long time, I was sneaking off to do auditions. I still wanted to audition. Now, when I first went down to London, I needed an agent. As an actor, you need an agent who is going to get you that foot in the door. Certainly because I do and have done TV and film work, you can't just, maybe it slightly is different now, but at the time you certainly couldn't get in for an audition for a BBC or an ITV drama without having an agent. And so I went looking for an agent and I was naive. I really didn't have a clue. I'm from the northeast of England. It wasn't exactly, you know, booming with the entertainment industry. The thing that was in the big TV show that was in Newcastle, I'd been in, and that was it. Like, there wasn't really a massive amount going on. So when I went down to London, I was naive and I was young. I didn't really have a clue. And so I went to see, I think after sending out letters, I sent out loads of letters and I maybe got 2 back. Most likely because I just don't know, it would have been awful what I sent out, you know, just cringe. And so I got asked to come down to London to Soho and meet with an agent. I am not going to say her name because I can't be bothered. We'll call her Ginge. We'll call her Ginge, okay? So Ginge, I went down to London to see Ginge and I was all intimidated, and this lady was absolutely how you would imagine if you were to think of an acting agent. I almost think of that one on Friends. I can't even think who it is, but that kind of, she wasn't as old as that, but just quite an intimidating character. Little, you know, quite posh. You know, I'm a working class Geordie girl. I felt intimidated. I was young and naive, and I went to her office and I met with her, and on the wall was all like these famous people's faces, and you know, it seemed really impressive to me, and I'm thinking these are all these TV actors that I know from the TV screens, and you know, she's talking the talk and she's going to get me those auditions, whatever. And so great, I signed with her and I was auditioning. Now, before having signed with her, I had already been auditioning for a company that did was it Lime production? No, it wasn't Lime, I can't remember. Anyway, I had been going to see a casting director who was casting for shows called Bad Girls, was a show at the time, Waterloo Road, who else? Footballers' Wives in the UK as well. So I had been auditioning for these shows for quite a while, and I was always near missing on the parts for these jobs. Or I got the odd thing here and there, but I'd met with this casting director way before joining this agency. I was doing my own work in a time when social media was new. I was still contacting people and I was sending letters constantly and I was knocking on doors. So I've always been very proactive. So when she met with me, I didn't realise what a hard-working actor I was, and that I was actually doing a lot of the legwork for her. So when I got a call to go in for an audition for something, it was the same company, and I went into audition for a show called Waterloo Road. Again, I'd already met with this casting director on numerous occasions. It wasn't a new meeting for me, but obviously it was a new part. And then I auditioned again and again, and I eventually got that part. I left drama school and I was booked in as a series regular called Leanne Galloway in series 2 of Waterloo Road. Brilliant. Left drama school, super excited. First big role. It was my first big role since being in Biker Grove. I'd been in Biker Grove, a show set in Newcastle, for 7 years, and since doing that I signed to Sony, and then I went to drama school, and this was my first big break since that, and I was so excited, really excited. I left London, I left drama school, like I dropped my degree that I'd started. I kind of always knew I would do that. I don't know why, but I did. I always knew I'd leave to do an acting part. Anyway, I left it, went up to Manchester to stay to do the filming, which if you're not from the UK, Manchester's in the north, London's in the south, obviously, and so it's quite a distance. I sourced, first red flag, she couldn't get me accommodation to stay when I was there, when now I realise like that would never normally happen. That never happened since. They would have organised accommodation for me. So thankfully I was really lucky, and I got a really great place to stay in Rochdale. Lovely family put me up in the hills in Rochdale. It was a gorgeous, really lovely part of the world. And so I was actually really lucky, and it was a really reasonable price. However, normally that wouldn't have been the case, not on such a big TV show. Should have been the first red flag. The next thing was everything contract wise was really behind, and I just wasn't getting things in a timely manner. I hadn't been paid. I was filming a lot and going back and forth from London, where my house was, and back up to Manchester to film, and things just weren't filtering down, you know, travel costs, or I wasn't being paid. So I was on a major BBC drama, working with some fantastic actors, and I wasn't being paid. I was at a time when they were sending, agents would still send checks, so it wasn't like, I mean, it sounds like it was like a million. It was still weird. I guess it was still weird even at that time that was happening, but I just wasn't being paid. So then I was being paid obscure amounts that didn't make sense, and then I cashed one of the checks and the check bounced back out of my account. So the agent gets paid from the TV company, and then they pay you. They take their cut, whatever that is, for whatever you've negotiated. And I was young and naive and trusting, and it got to the point where I finished up doing that show, that series, and I can't remember the numbers, but it was thousands that I was down, that I hadn't been paid, and I was chasing that money and and there was excuse after excuse after excuse. And then I went on to the agent's website one day, and it was gone. It was just gone. And there was a name change and different offices in a different part of London. Oh God, it was so dodgy. It was so dodgy. And I kind of can't even remember all of the stuff now, but it made it so difficult in a time which should have been a really amazing platform. I should have had somebody behind me off the back of that elevated things, and actually I was still doing all of the work and I wasn't being paid. I ended up it ended up that I went down with my dad, Geordie Bryan, and went down there, and he sort of made a few threats and kind of, put some, she cried and it wasn't her fault, and investors weren't paying and stuff like that. There was all sorts of absolute nonsense reasons. And then we went to Equity, the actors union, who I was a member of, and they knew, which was disheartening when I made that phone call, and they were like, yeah, so she owes clients £40,000. I was like, oh, might be down the pecking order then. Might be slightly down the pecking order if that's the level of money that's owed. And initially she agreed to a payment plan of such and paid a little bit back, and then they just sort of stopped. And by that time, it was such a long time, and I had sort of given up, I guess, on the money, which is so, I mean, it actually makes me really angry now thinking about it, and really sad that it was such an amazing TV show to be part of, and you know, some fantastic actors that have come out of it, and really good people that I've got to work with, and yet it's really tarnished that whole time because of what was going on behind the scenes. And that, no joke, I was sometimes leaving filming, and I used to do promotional work, like, you know, when you see people giving out flyers and, you know, fit girls in hot pants and stuff, and do like grid girl stuff. I used to do bits and pieces of that, and I really shouldn't have had to do that in that time because I was being paid enough money. That's the contractually, I was being paid enough money to be able to not do anything like that. And yet in between filming for Waterloo Road, I was on roller skates and hot pants handing out flyers for a nightclub, which is insane to me now and really, really makes me angry. And yeah, so I started to do some research though during that time, and I actually have quite a few friends now that came off the back of that. She didn't just owe actors money, she owed showreel companies money, she owed printers money, she owed money left, right and centre. And unfortunately within the industry, and if you're watching this and you are in the entertainment industry in the UK, you know who I'm talking about, because everybody will have known who I was talking about. But she was very protected by certain people within the industry that, this is rubbish because I can't even say the stuff really that I want to say, but if anyone is in the know, they know. If you know, you know. But there's a lot of dodgy people in the entertainment industry in the background, a lot of old school gangster types that still have certain pull in certain elements of the film industry, and she was very much involved in all of that, and so it made it a bit difficult to really do much about it. But she knows, and you must know, like, she knows, you know, like, in my head I'm at peace with it in that I'm not her. I'm not a scumbag, and you, Ginge, are a scumbag, and you are lucky that I'm not the person that I was not that person that I am now, because yeah, I was a kid and there was a lot of other people, a lot of really like quite famous people who you would know. I'm not going to name drop them, but famous people within the industry who are still working, who had money taken off them by this con artist. And it just really makes me mad, because the industry is hard enough, and to get such a big break like I had, it was such a, you know, with the right agent, I could have been propelled very easily, but yeah, I was still doing all of the work. And also I do worry that, you know, the fact that she was my agent actually impacted within the back, you know, in the background, and I really don't know the damage that was done with that, because she stalled my career in reality, because I was not being seen for the same amount of stuff that I was being seen for before when she was my agent. And I was trusting and thinking, of course she's working for me, because, you know, I get paid, she gets paid. You know, that's usually the way that an agent and actor relationship should work. But she wasn't doing the work, I was doing the work, then I was getting the work, and then she was getting paid and I weren't getting paid. I mean, it's insane. Imagine a check bouncing out of your account. It's insane. But I do have friends who, from that incident, and I think she's still doing that kind of stuff. And every now and then I do a little Google search, just because we kind of do that as human beings, don't we, when we want to get mad at something. And I just kind of want to see whether she's still, I would imagine, I know she's still in the industry, and I would imagine she is still doing something dodgy. Whether it's so overt, I don't know. But yeah, that was it, what was going on behind the scenes when I was in Waterloo Road. I was ripped off, people. I was ripped off. And actors don't get loads of money, or, you know, we don't have much money because, well, in general terms, actors are contract workers, as TV actors. And so when you get a job like that, and I was young and I was still starting out really, to get that break and then to have somebody steal from you is, abhorrent. And I just think there was so much more to it as well. Like, I don't even necessarily think she negotiated the right of payment for me and stuff anyway. Oh, it's just minging. So yeah, my advice would be get more advice than I did, and speak to more people. I really didn't. I didn't have people necessarily around me who really knew about that stuff. And if there are red flags, just, yeah, don't be bamboozled by the fact that they have famous people on their books, because actually what I found out afterwards was that those people came with the work. It was nothing to do with her. They came with work, and actually most of those actors were on their way out. Yeah. Maybe I'll tell you about another agent that propositioned me at some point. I'll tell you about that one day in the story times. I will share them with you. Hope you enjoyed this story. And if you are an actor, don't be disheartened by this. The majority of the industry are absolutely fantastic. And the ones that are bad, everybody knows about. So if people are in the industry and they're watching this, they will know who I'm talking about. The Ginger Witch, as me and my friends like to call her. Peace.
Take me out to